So, welcome to the Online Prosperity Show. It's an absolute joy and honor to be here. I'm Marianne Hartley, the founder of Hartley Soul branding and design agency and author of Align and Shine. Join us in this episode to discover a little bit about my journey, what creates a timeless design, how Hartley Soul came about.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Online Prosperity Show, where we deep dive into the minds and methods of the entrepreneurial elite. I'm your host, Prosper Taruvinga, and today, we've got a treat for you. And our guest is not just an ordinary powerhouse, she's the maestro of branding, the guru of design, and she's here to sprinkle some serious magic onto our screens. Now, Marianne, how are you doing today?
Oh, thank you for this amazing introduction, Prosper. Thank you. I feel great. Thank you. How are you?
I am doing fantastic, even better now that we've got you on the show. Now, I could go on and seeing all your accolades and everything else, but it defeats the whole purpose of having you on the show. Could you maybe tell our viewers who you are and what is it that you actually do in the world of branding?
Sure. So I'm Marianne Hartley. I'm the founder of Hartley Soul, a branding and design agency. And I'm the author of Align and Shine, Gain an Unshakable Foundation to Build Your Legacy Brand, that was nominated at the Business Book Awards in 2023. And I work with visionary entrepreneurs who want a brand that is a true reflection of their values. And so they can attract their ideal clients and the people who they are here to serve, and also their ideal employees.
Fantastic. You see, a lot of people, when they get into business, yes, they might have their missions, their values, and everything else aligned, but they lose it along the way. So what is it that actually inspired you to get started on this journey, and why these particular people that you like working with?
Yeah. So I'm going to take you right back to my childhood, if that's okay. It all started as I was about 4 or 5 years old. My mother had an artist friend, and she was a total eccentric. And we spent a lot of time in art galleries. And I was always struck by the atmosphere in these galleries. And, the paintings we were looking at, in my opinion, as a child, 4-year-old, we spent way too much time there. After 10 minutes, I was ready to go and do something else. But it did leave a really strong impression on me. And I particularly remember one exhibition of it was actually a Swiss artist called Odler, and he'd painted his wife who was dying. And it was a really tragic subject, but the paintings had such depth and beauty. They really left me with a very sort of strong impression. And I remember going out into the street again and seeing, all the billboards. And I was like, isn't it odd how different images can leave you feeling? So the paintings in the gallery really made a sort of very strong and deep impression on me and left me feeling like I'd received something. And when I was going out into the street and saw the billboards, I felt like I'd been slapped in the face. And it was such a different feeling. And I remember just being puzzled by that. And I thought, hey, why aren't there more people in galleries? Because, you feel such things that you don't, you get a deeper sense of feeling and lots of beauty. And on the street, I just felt like it was being shortchanged. So later on, as a teenager, so I spent lots of time in nature. Nature and art really were my guiding sort of lights along the way. My favorite place as a child, my parents divorced when I was very young. So I spent a lot of time alone. And when my favorite place was sitting in the apple tree at the bottom of the garden, that's where I felt the safest. And that's where I felt the happiest. So nature and art are really my sort of guiding threads throughout my life. Fast forward to my teenage years, I was like, the ads, again, the ads I was seeing really didn't make me feel very good. Like it was either I had to look a certain way or have certain things in order to be successful or to have the image of success. And I thought, wouldn't it be great if we saw images on a daily basis that actually made us feel good, reminded us of why we were here, and brought out the best in us rather than, made us feel like we weren't fitting in. That's a big theme as well in my life, like, always being sort of the odd one out. Anyway, I digress. So, as a teenager, seeing these ads, and I thought, one way to have an impact in that is understanding how they're done. So that led me to study graphic design. So I studied graphic design in Switzerland, in La Chaux-de-Fonds, in a college where Le Corbusier, the architect, was also there quite a few years prior to me, of course. And then I'd had this dream of living and working in London. So after I completed college, I arrived in London and started working as a graphic designer. And my aim was my favorite agency at the time was Pentagram. And I was very fortunate to get to meet Alan Fletcher, who was one of the founders, who is still one of my design heroes. And we had a beautiful conversation. I showed him my work. I didn't end up working at Pentagram all these years ago, but that remains one of my sort of real highlights of one of my design gurus that I got to meet and spend some time with.
Absolutely. What a beautiful story. And just you taking us back to when you were 4 and 5 and, already being mesmerized by art and looking at, the differences, like you said, the art on the street and the art in the gallery and things of that nature. And I have an intricate belief that when people do art, it's a gift. Some people took years. Van Gogh maybe only managed to sell one of their own paintings during his lifetime, and the rest people are celebrating and enjoying during that time, unlike maybe the graffiti on the street where somebody just goes in and it doesn't have any resonance or any passion or any story. Like you mentioned how you saw the art of that person who had painted his wife. Now, during that time, did you maybe try out any hand painting or paint by numbers or anything that kids would have done? Because that was a little bit, of an adult nature. I can't,
Yeah.
my kid still paints stones and collects
Oh,
them,
nice.
and,
Yeah,
so.
beautiful. Yeah. So I was drawing as well. As I think I probably wasn't drawing before I was speaking, but I was drawing as a child and yeah, I was drawing probably, yeah, my mum still has drawings of when I was like 2 or 3, or, she's got a whole collection. So I always, yeah, also drew and painted myself. And then I got to carry on drawing and painting at school as well, because I went to a Steiner school, which had a slightly, different education system and really focused on art and the self-expression of the child. So I know that's also had a big imprint and influence in my working life.
Absolutely. At the end of the day, it's all this collection of events that are happening in our lives that then constitute who we become. Even Steve Jobs went to typography class, which he stumbled upon, and eventually he then used that to create the beautiful iMac and all the writings that are on the iMac. So you went on and thought, this is my way to go, studied graphic design and things of that nature. But graphic design was a whole different world back then. Tell us what it was like, maybe for a female artist that is trying to enter into a world, because this is no longer really artsy. There was also technology that was now being
Yeah.
involved at that time.
Yes, and interestingly, when I started college, it was just before computers. So that takes you back. It was 89. That's when I did the foundation course, and then the graphic design department at college there was very small. It had only been going, I think, for 4 years, so it was a new department, and so we were the fourth class to be going through the curriculum. And it was only in the second year of college that the first computers arrived. And they were, I don't know if you got to experience these, Prosper, because they were gray boxes. And they were about this size. And they were just like, they had these little, we called them, the floppy disks.
Absolutely, or the hard
And
disk.
yeah, and there was 500 megs, I think, was the memory space. And I remember somebody saying, we'll never need more memory than this, right? And now you look back, obviously that's over 30 years ago now. Yeah, it's hard to believe that we thought that would be enough, and that's how it started. So not having a computer straight away meant that, we went to a typesetter and we saw how a newspaper was still set one character at a time. And it seems crazy now to think that somebody, your whole article was set one character at a time, and in reverse, right? Because when you print it, you've got to be able to read it. So the type was going the other way. And I only saw this once as we visited it with college, but it was mind-blowing because the typesetter was doing it so fast. And we now, we write, the computer just took away quite a few professions. I had a friend who was preparing all the films for before you printed something. So you had the red film, the yellow film, the blue film, and the black film. That's where the CMYK comes from, right? Yes. And she was retouching. So there was one film per color, and she was retouching all the little maybe holes. Otherwise, you would have had a blue dot somewhere that you didn't want to. And that went when the computer arrived. So I'm actually really, really pleased to have experienced both worlds, if you like, because it gives me the sort of the understanding of where the profession or where the trade has come from. And Prosper, I was very anti-computers because I was like, this is going to take away our creativity. I was all about, using paint. I still love using paintbrushes and different pens. And yeah, there's obviously something that I think you can never take away the quality or the experience of actually creating something with your hands, right? And of course, I create all my brands, all the designs are now on computer, but at times I still, start on a piece of paper and with paints, and then transfer that onto a design.
Into a design.
So yeah, but so it was really interesting being just on this transition point before and after computers. And now, of course, I can't imagine my life without it. And it's been an incredible tool, and we can speak. We would never be able to speak this way otherwise.
Oh, I can imagine, like I was just thinking to myself, so cut and paste actually involved a scissors, right?
Exactly.
And
yeah.
you would glue it all together, all right, put it all together, cut it now, and then paste it all together.
Yeah.
And make sure it's all aligned, and then
That's it.
Wow.
And we actually, for text, if you wanted a page of text, you cut out. So first it was dummy text, right? So
right.
You wanted to see the length and the size, the heights of the letters, and we cut out each line and stuck stuck it down on a piece of paper. And then that was how you set a page. And then you'd, cut out an image and stick it on a piece of paper. And again, you'd move it about. You'd go, okay, no, it needs to be a little bit further upright or further low, further down. And then if you wanted to change the size of the text, you were like, okay, so you started again. So at the beginning of having computers, I think there were only 2 computers and there was 8 of us, or there were 4 computers and there was 8 of us. So we had to, take turns on being on the computer. And it's hard to imagine, isn't it? Really hard to imagine now.
I'm just thinking, Marianne, I mean, I would have grown up in that sort of era, but I'm just thinking in this office alone, I can count 8 screens. All right. The computer, 3 of the screens there. I've got another screen there. I've got my phone. I've got my iPad. And then I think I've got my laptop sitting in there just waiting, and I couldn't function without any of those, and I was actually just thinking yesterday, my little girl just turned 4 and she knows her way around the phone and everything else, but she can't even tie her shoes to save her life. So I'm just thinking, which part of the brain figures this out and not figure out just tying your shoelaces? So it's the different times that we now live in. But you went on and harnessed all of this and you didn't quit, and you went on and started you launched Hartley Soul. That must have been quite an adventure then. Can you just maybe walk us through how that sort of happened? If there was a pivotal moment where you actually decided, because you did say you are merging healing and also design in the work that you're doing, that so talk about a very courageous leap. So tell us how that happened.
So all this took time, of course. And so after finishing college, I arrived in London and freelanced for most of the time, but I got to work on some really fascinating projects, like working on Toyota and Bacardi and Intercontinental Hotels and some large brands that also gave me a real understanding of brand positioning, brand hierarchy. And I loved all that part. But for me, there was always something that was missing for me. So I studied Buddhism and energy healing on the side. And at the time, 20 years ago, people weren't so open to, energy, and anything a little bit like that was very woo-woo at that time. It still has a little bit, but not as much as it did then. So I noticed very quickly then, when I spoke to colleagues about those interests, they weren't very interested. So I thought, okay, I'll just keep them to myself. So the mind, body, spirit, how we feel, we've all entered into a room and felt really at ease, and you're like, oh, this feels really good. Or we've walked into another room and felt really uncomfortable and we don't know why. And it has something to do with, it can be the furniture or the objects that are around, but really it's the energy, and we all pick it up. I think we all pick it up, but because we've trained our minds so strongly, we tend to, go into logic and go, well, there's nothing here. I can't see anything. Therefore, everything's fine. Anyway, so I studied energy healing and Buddhism. And for me, the energy part made a lot of sense with the visual, because also the intention with which we create something is part of the design. So when you create a brand, or when I create a brand, I create it with the intention that is going to be for the highest outcome of the client and the people that they work with and that they collaborate with, so that it has a positive impact on everyone. So it's not, of course, we want every business to be successful, and money is an important aspect, but it's not the only one. So well-being in a company is really important as well. So when every person that works within an organization can be aligned with the vision of the company, and know the reason why they're coming to work every morning, because they're contributing something. We all want to contribute. We all want to be appreciated, and we want our life to be meaningful. So when the whole company can align to the highest values of that company, then there's a sense of something higher. It's nearly beyond hierarchy, because it's the vision of the company. So of course, as the CEO, the founder needs to hold that vision really strongly. Otherwise, no one else can align. But when that vision is strong and clear, then from the moment you walk into an organization, the way you're greeted at the desk is really important, because that person also holds that highest vision. But if you're just going to do a job and you're just going to work, and it's like, there's a part of you that's not alive. Okay, maybe I'm going off a bit on a tangent, but when we're aligned, when we feel like that the work that we do has an impact on, we know that we're contributing to other people, that brings us satisfaction. It brings us joy. It brings us meaning. So the invisible part of a brand, if you like, is the values. It's the vision. It's what's behind it. So being clear on what those aspects are before you create it is then, it's like imprinted in the design energetically. And this is why I'm starting to speak about the energetics of branding, because it's really, colors, shapes, textures, they all have an energy, and they make us feel different things. So when we look at something, it either makes us feel good, or we're attracted to it, or we're not. And with a brand, you want to be very clear on what you want to communicate, and who you want to collaborate with, and who you want to attract. So the people who you're not there to serve will just naturally not be interested, not be attracted, and you want that to happen quite quickly. So the clearer your message, the clearer your branding is, the faster you get to work with the people who you are here to work with, serve the people you're here to serve, and make your contribution.
Fantastic. I quite like all of that, the whole contribution and alignment side of things. So you must really have your work cut out for you, especially these days when in the last couple of years, a lot of people were told their jobs are non-essential. So now they are going to a work or to a job that nobody needed. So that feeling of contribution might not be present in a lot of people's work and things like that. Is that a far-fetched premonition based on what you've just said, or it's something that is going to maybe come around knowing what you know about brands and how alignment really needs to be there towards contribution?
So we're going through major change, right?
Yes.
And I don't think anyone knows what's going to happen. We're like we've never been in a situation or at a time like this. So I don't think anyone knows what's coming next, but what's for sure is that we can see huge transformation. And yes, there are some jobs that are being taken over, and actually with the computer that was sort of the beginning. So there's always two sides, isn't there? There's a dramatic side, And there's also an opportunity in all these situations. There's always, it's never just light and it's never just dark. There are challenges and there's opportunities. So the opportunity, the challenge, if a lot of people lose their jobs, we're all at a loss. But the opportunity is that for each person to also maybe do that digging and going, well, what is my unique contribution? And to bring that to the table.
Absolutely. I believe we're here to live, to learn, and to contribute. For us to live the best lives that we can live, we need to learn, from those that have been before, so that we be able to contribute and send the elevator down. Now, who exactly do you serve at Hartley Soul? Because, like you said, brands have to align with the right kind of people, with the right kind of pain. Not everyone is going to be obviously your customer. And if somebody's watching right now and they're enamored with everything else that you're saying, but they're just thinking, I don't know if we're the right fit or we're the right person for you, who would you say is the right person, and why should maybe these type of people beat down your door for your expertise?
So the clients I work with are all passionate about what they do, and they're committed to making a positive difference. So it can be from a local business to an international organization. And that's where we align on our values. So I work with coaches, I work with global organizations, and I'm really passionate about working with people who also have an impact on the environment and who want to take care of the environment, take care of people, and really contribute to making this world the best world it can be.
Absolutely. And for those that are maybe not quite ready but want to dip their feet, you wrote a book, Align and Shine.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, Align and Shine.
Absolutely.
So I wrote the book really so it's the methodology I've developed over the years. And there's 3 parts, and it takes you through the questions to ask yourself before you actually start, before you create a brand. There's like, this is the foundation for your brand, basically. So this is why it's gain an unshakable foundation to build your legacy brand. Because if somebody says, design me a logo, you don't know where to start. You need to know who it's for, what they want to communicate, and what the product is about. So the book takes you through the steps that I've been taking my clients through for over 10 years. And writing the book really allowed me to see that there's a clear structure, because I was doing this methodology quite intuitively. But there is a clear structure, and it's really also about linking the right brain and the left brain. So it's logic and intuition. So to get to that sweet spot. So it's not just what we think, but it's also what we feel. It's our heart and it's our mind that collaborate to get into to the essence of what your business and your project is about.
Absolutely. And where can people grab a copy of this? Is this available on Amazon or?
It is. Yeah. It's available on Amazon, and you can access it worldwide.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, you keep talking a lot, like you mentioned, back in the time you went on voyages, one of which you ended up in Australia, and you were on a quest, just like you said, you wanted to learn the way of the world and things of that nature. Now, how did that, and how has that now impacted the way you approach life, business, and everything else that comes along with it, because most people would look at it and be like, whoa, that's a little bit woo woo, but you have actually made it part and parcel of how you actually run your business.
Yes. So yes, you and I spoke beforehand, and yeah, nature and art have been the sort of the guiding thread or the guiding light for me. And I did in 2000, I took a sabbatical and took time out because I was close to burning out. I was working all hours and I was employed at the time. And I took 6 months, and one of my dreams was to visit Asia, and the other dream was to listen, hear, or meet the Dalai Lama. So my Asian trip took me to Australia, and it was a very beautiful experience. I got to see a platypus, which I felt very, very honored by seeing this really beautiful creature, and such a shy creature. And we were in a group, and we all had to be very quiet, and it was in a little lake in a forest, and it was a very special moment for me. So yeah, these gifts from nature are something I treasure.
Fantastic. Because when you told me, you said you went eye to eye with the platypus. Did you think the platypus had a message for you?
Oh, do you know what I experienced? It was all about kindness. There's
Wow.
something, to take care of kindness.
All right. All right.
Yeah,
And it is a beautiful thing to be kind to others, to the world.
to
And
ourselves.
yeah, and kindness is a gift that we give to people, and putting it all together, you're giving a lot of people the gift of a brand that is in alignment to who they exactly are, because so many people are working super, super hard to create
Mm.
something. And if it's not going to be aligned with the customers that they want to work with or the stakeholders they want involved, then it's all for nothing.
Well, it's a bit like, it's like when you're walking with a stone in your shoe. You can walk, but
Yeah.
there's something
Yeah.
that's not comfortable.
Yeah.
And when your brand aligns with your values, then everything flows, and you can show up as who you are, and your business is an extension of you. It's separate, but it's an extension. If your business values were totally different to your own, it'd be very challenging to work,
Mm.
and eventually, either emotionally, physically, mentally, when you're working in a dissonant or disconnected situation, something's got to give. Usually it's health. That's when people stop and go, okay, I can't carry on like this. This isn't working for me. And we know it before it gets to the health issue, but that's usually when we stop, because the body, is not willing to carry on, and that's when we start to listen often.
Absolutely.
But it doesn't have to be that way. So we can address it before it gets to that
To the
stage.
end. Sometimes it would be too late to even address anything. So obviously we want to nip it
Yeah.
in the bud. Now, Marianne, in a world saturated with all these brands, everyone is starting their own business. If they're lucky, they go past the 3 year mark. Like the
Mm.
statistic says, businesses don't
Mm-hmm.
go past the 3 year mark. And all these brands that are vying for attention, some people don't even go as far as creating a business. They just end
Mm-hmm.
on social media, and they can sell from social
Yeah.
media without actually creating a brand. For those that really want to bring this into a legacy type setup, which I think you help people actually achieve, what would you say is the secret sauce behind creating a brand that not only stands out, but also leaves an indelible mark on the hearts of the customers? Now, I want you to think of the moment when you actually had that platypus moment And if we can put that as you being a business owner and the platypus being the customer, and you guys share a moment because that was meant to happen and be.
Oh, that's beautiful. So there's magic, when you're fully present and you're fully in the moment and fully present. I think, again, we all want to be seen, we all want to be appreciated, and we all want to be loved. Ultimately, whatever we're doing on the outside, I think ultimately we all want this. So to create a legacy brand, it's something that's really dear to your heart. It's something that has been in your heart for maybe forever. Maybe it arose from a specific situation that left a strong imprint. And it's that inner knowing. There's an inner knowing that this is important for you. And there are thousands of designers, there's thousands of coaches, or maybe millions. But, each person is totally unique, and we're not for everyone. So the gift that you come with is exactly right for certain people. It won't be right for everyone, and we don't need to be for everyone. Actually, nobody can be for everyone. It's not possible. But really feeling and tuning in and knowing what is my gift? What is your gift? And then sharing that with the world. That's what creates a legacy. And from a design perspective, elegance, simplicity, that's what stands the test of time. So if you look at all the successful brands, I don't want to name any names, but if you look at your favorite, let's say your favorite car brand, or your favorite watch, or your favorite fashion brand, they stand the test of time. And there's a simplicity and an elegance. So one of the challenges clients often have is wanting to say too much with a logo, or wanting to say everything. And the more you want to say, sometimes the less you communicate. So creating something really simple is much more powerful, but you need to be very clear on what that thing is that you want to communicate.
Wow. Just like Michelangelo said, this marble was just there. I just had to take the pieces off so we could have the statue. So the marble is
That's
valuable
it.
in and of itself, but you still need to take out the bits that are not important. The statue is the logo, and the actual message is inside there.
That's it.
Wow. 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 Now, before we wrap up, Marianne, if you could maybe take yourself back to that gallery when you were four, your younger self, and you enamored with this nice visual art that you're seeing. And this, like you said, it was a man who was, making a painting of his wife then, knowing what you know now, what sort of, because you were getting anxious and restless, you wanted to leave. But if you were an adult that would have just walked past this restless kid, what would you have whispered to this kid, or what would you have wanted to hear as a kid to, just know that your journey was going to be filled with so many interesting activities moving forward?
That's a great question. I would have said, enjoy this moment. Because actually, that's all we always ever have, right? We know we have this moment. We don't know how many moments we're going to have, but we have this moment.
Thank you. And I think just staying in the moment is something that not a lot of us can do, in this overconnected, humdrum, keeping up with the Joneses world that we now live in. And well, I blame all the other graphic designers that just create whiz bang things to just grab our attention and taking us off our center there, Marianne. So it's a good thing we've got, the ones that really want us to create for and relate to the people that we want to work for. So in a nutshell, it's essentially just doing work that matters for people who care.
Beautifully said. Yes.
Those were not my words, that's Seth Godin, but it's just, in apropos to say it's
Well used.
now. Absolutely. Well, this has been fantastic. You see, but before we bid adieu, being someone that has been through the actual, cut and paste era to seeing what we're now seeing in the computer age, when you you made me laugh when you said, you had a floppy drive that was 500 megabytes. Now I'm actually looking outside. It's a bit overcast. I don't know what cloud has got all my data. It's all just morphed into, this whole big technological phase, which we're still trying to figure ourselves out and things of that nature. What do you see happening in your industry, and what can people expect, especially from Hartley and Soul, in the future?
So the industry is changing, rapidly, and there is room for all the designs you also mentioned. We're all different, so we need different things. What you can expect from the industry, I think it's a huge question. I think we need another conversation. But but what you can expect from Hartley and Soul is to have to create the foundation to build a brand that will turn into your legacy. So to come to the essence of what it is that you and the company stands for and what you want to be known for to your audience and the world. So that's what you can expect from Hartley and Soul. And I love working with visionary business leaders and drawing out the essence of what they're here and what their gift is to the world.
Fantastic. Wow. Thank you so much for that. And there you have it, folks. That was Marianne Hartley, the visionary behind Hartley and Soul. And she's just generously shared her insights, her journey, her heart with us today. But hey, if you're hungry for more wisdom and more inspiration and more transformative stories, just don't forget to subscribe to the Online Prosperity Show, because you never know what you're going to expect. Even when I get into these episodes, I don't know what to expect. And it is the beautiful guests that then create this show to be what it is today. So thank you so much, Marianne, for gracing us with your presence today.
Oh, thank you for inviting me to the show, Prosper. It's been a joy.
Absolutely. And for those that are watching right now, I will put all the links so that you can connect with Marianne, just so you can see what work she's doing, or you can purchase the book, Align and Shine, so that you can actually have the steps to creating a brand that can stand the test of time. Now, until next time, stay prosperous, stay inspired, and keep chasing those dreams. Bye for now.